Hey, everybody, welcome to Journey Through the Generations. And we're so glad to be back with another episode. And today, I'm going to tell you the story of, you may have heard me mention Dr. Ralph on maybe a few previous episodes, but Dr. Ralph Cummings, my great grandfather, how I found out more information about him and also his son, my grandfather. And so this will kind of teach you that thing you may run into information when you weren't really looking for
And
it.
it's always the best information.
Yeah, and so so for new people who are just starting out researching, don't don't say things like, "Oh, well, no, there's nothing in there. I'm not gonna look."
My family couldn't be there.
Yeah, that's not gonna do it. So, so Trisha, have you ever had an instance where you ran into some information that you weren't looking for, and because I feel like you have several times.
A few times I have. I found while I was researching something else or someone else, I was able to find information on my great grandfather, and that he was a member of a farming organization back in the 20s and 30s that he was a member of, and I was able to find information about that, but I wasn't looking for it. I didn't know that farming associations and organizations existed. I don't even know how I ran across it because I wasn't even researching him. But I was at the state archives, and I was just telling that I was, researching in Woodruff County, but I wasn't actually researching him. I was researching his wife. And she said, well, have you looked at this? I forget the name of it, farming organization. He may have been a part of this. And it turned out that he was. And I was able to find a meeting that he attended about desegregating the organization.
Yeah, okay, so my story, and again, don't disregard don't disregard information, as, oh, well, there's nothing there. Don't do that. And if you're looking at something, here's a tip for you, okay? If you're looking at something online and you don't know if there's anything in there for you, go to the document or to the website, and on your computer, hit Control-F. What that does is search that particular website or document. It's the F stands for find. And then usually in the upper right hand corner, there's a box. Type your name in it or type whatever it is you're looking for and hit enter. And the program will find every instance of whatever it is you're looking for. So you don't want to be too specific, but you want to be, not too generic.
Right.
So you want to put as much information. And then also don't forget to try variations of names.
Yes.
Just in case
spellings
are different. So
that's usually what I do.
Yeah, so that happens a lot. So a little tip for you. Okay, now back to my story. So I was talking to my parents about, learning about our family being in Conway, Arkansas. And it's so funny. It's like 30 minutes from our house, from where we live.
We drive right by
We drive right by it every time we go visit my folks in Little Rock. And then even if we go to my wife's hometown,
get off on the exact
we actually
exit.
get off on the exit of where my family
And we never
lived, and we never knew it. Anyway. So they told me about a news story they just did about a new museum, African-American museum in Conway. And so I looked them up, the name of the museum. I looked them up on Facebook just to see if I could see anything or, find a name or anything like that. And I was looking through their pictures of their grand opening, which was like just a month or so before.
Right, yeah.
And they, of course, were showing pictures of the outside and all the people who attended and all that good stuff. And so as I started going through the pictures showing the inside, I saw a picture of my great grandfather.
That's so crazy, but so good.
Hanging on the wall. And I stopped, of course, and I zoomed in, and I knew it was him because I had seen the exact picture before. And it had underneath Dr. Ralph Cummings. Now, what you might not know is that he was one of the first black doctors in Conway. And of course, you know, he took care of all the black people delivering babies, all that stuff.
He was, very popular.
And so he was a very popular person in the city or in the black part of town. Yeah. And so, and it turns out he was in this museum. Which is astounding. When I went to it, I wasn't expecting to see that.
Right.
And so
when you told me about it, I thought you were going to contact them and let them know about Dr. Cummings and that you had information to add to the center is what I thought was going to happen. I don't know why I didn't think that they already had his information.
Yeah. So I contacted them through Facebook and talked to the person who was over the center, and it turns out that person lives actually in Detroit because the museum is built around Pine Street, which was the main part of town of where the school was for the black folks, and where, of course, all the black people lived. And so. So he doesn't live in Arkansas anymore. He lives in Michigan. But he gave me the name of the person who still lives there. That's kind of the overseer of the museum. And so I talked with her via Facebook. And I think I actually talked to her on the phone too. And I told her, okay, I'm going to be down there in 2 weeks. I want to come and visit your museum.
Right.
And she said, oh, of course.
Absolutely.
You come and I'll be there waiting. When do you want to come?
Because, it's still a new museum and they have limited hours. And so when we were going to be there was when they were not open. So again, by contacting her and letting her know this is, our, relationship with Dr. Cummings, we would love to come see it. And she absolutely was there, opened the place up for us. It was just us and her there. And so we were able to have all the time that we needed to be able to look around.
Yep. So I contacted my dad because this is his side of the family and told him about it. And I said, do you want to go? And he said yes. So I went down there, picked him up, and Trisha and I drove back, which is like a 25-minute drive, not a bad drive from Little Rock. And we went and visited the museum. And we were able to take a picture with Dr. Ralph's
hanging
picture.
On the wall.
And the thing that gets me is that we learned so much more about our family on this visit because this museum is centered around the Black High School. They had a lot of they had a lot of yearbooks in there. And we were looking around the yearbooks, and Trisha ran into my grandfather's picture. And it turns out that he was a science and a PE teacher
at the high school.
Yeah. I think he was only there for like a year or two.
But he was there, and
but
he
had his picture up, and I was like,
crazy.
I didn't know in my research that I was trying to find what where his travels were. I know he went to AM&N. And the next thing I have after that is California. I didn't know what happened after college. I thought he went straight to California.
Yeah. There was like 3 or 4 years that we couldn't pinpoint where he was.
It turns out he went back to home, back to Conway, taught school, and then at some point left and went to California. And so we learned that. And then just the icing on the cake was that she the lady who opened it up for us, she was able to take us to the cemetery, the black cemetery, and show us where Dr. Rouse is buried, where his gravesite is. So, and I knew he was in that cemetery, but I didn't know where. And Trisha and I actually previously had gone out to that cemetery to look for ourselves.
Yeah, we walked
and
around.
we walked. It's not a really big cemetery, so we walked around it, looked, and this was, let's see, he died in 1945. And yeah, because that's when my dad was born. So he died in 1945, and and so we thought that it would be something we would find pretty easily, but they had some really old grave markers in there, and we just couldn't figure it out. Well, it turns out
we didn't walk around enough.
He has probably the biggest headstone in the place. And it makes sense now we think about it, because he was a doctor.
He was a prominent man in the community.
Yep. And he had a I mean, I don't know
how we missed it.
I don't even know.
I do know.
Well, we wouldn't have thought that it was that big.
I know I wouldn't have. But
they have his gravesite is blocked off with some border, which, as we understand, they don't do in Arkansas anymore.
Right.
And we also found out that he had a daughter who died when she was a baby.
Yes.
Which I had no idea.
Yeah, no.
And so, of course, I got pictures of everything and some video. And I really need to put that video together and put it out on our YouTube channel. Yeah. I think I'm going to do that soon. But anyway, yeah, that was a total surprise.
Right.
I never thought any of that would happen. And it's great that my dad
was there with you,
knew nothing about this part of the family. He was able to go.
Right.
And I was able to send information to his grandson who lives out in California, Dr. Rouse, the one that I met first on this side of the family. I was able to send some pictures out to him, because he's probably not going to get back to Arkansas anytime soon. So,
but to know that your family is in a museum.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, because I'm sure you don't know this, but I love museums. Anytime we go anywhere, I always look up to see what museums are there. And I always try to find an African-American museum somewhere for us to go to when we're on vacation or visiting a new city. So that's something that I've always enjoyed and I'm always interested in. So even if, your family wasn't in this museum, it's a Black History Museum in Conway, Arkansas, I definitely would have wanted to go. But to know that your family is in that museum, they had his stethoscope around the picture. And not only that, but his son is also in the museum. And somebody there whose mother knew him and was able to tell you a story about them being together and her memory of your great-grandfather. That is huge.
Yep, and she was able to tell me my grandfather's mother, which I was going back and forth on who it was. And so we verified that. She told me, which I already knew from the data that I found in Family Search and Ancestry, that he was a ladies' man.
Yes, he was, but it makes sense. He was a doctor.
He was a doctor
in a small town,
and because he was from Guyana.
Oh yeah,
he had an accent and he had a different look from everybody else. So
he was exotic.
The ladies was just all over that. So
yes,
but so that's why he has so many wives and kids, and who knows how many other
you just don't
people out there that are that belong to him.
When your dad and mom talked to you about it, were they just telling you because it was Conway, or did they think that you would be able to find something?
I don't remember because it's been a while. So I don't know why Mama told me that, but for some reason it piqued my interest.
Yeah, something in your spirit was like, let me look
Yeah,
this up.
and I just
The
looked at it.
ancestors was whispering in your ear.
Yeah, I just feel like Mama was just telling me just to tell me and let me know that a museum had opened. But but it's good though because it has spurned some other ideas
Right, yeah.
for us to do, and so we're looking at stuff along those lines. But yeah, that was just crazy how
And
that happened.
and I was just walking around looking at pictures, and I said, that looked like that said Cummins on the bottom of it. And you're in a museum, so you're really not supposed to touch things. But of course I did because it just looked like the bottom of it said Cummings. So I picked this picture up and it said Robert Cummings. And I was like, Philip, this said Robert Cummings. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to touch things. But this said Robert Cummings.
Yeah, it's all that happened. So yeah, I mean that's why I said when we started, like, don't disregard totally disregard the things that people tell you or that you see. You never know what you're gonna find. So don't when you're researching, you're like I said, you're on the internet or you're reading a document or something online. Use that Control-F shortcut and see if you can look that way, or if you're talking to people, ask some questions to get more information, and you just never know what you're gonna find. So yeah,
You just never
good
know.
stuff.
You just never know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably about it.
That's a great story.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. So what I'm going to do is down in the episode notes, I'm going to link to Pond Street Museum's Facebook page. If you're researching in Central Arkansas, maybe a good place for you to look at. Maybe do some research with them if you can. If you've had a find like that in your research, let us know on Facebook, and you can follow us over there or on Twitter, and all of our social media channels will be down in the episode notes. So we really appreciate you for checking in with us. And if that's it,
I think that's it.
I think we'll probably call it a deal. Yeah, I just need to get back to researching.
Yes.
Yeah, so don't we all? All right, guys, we appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, guys.